Guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel and the Scouting for Manchester United series, where today we are getting straight into it, talking about Koné of Borussia Mönchengladbach. Now, Koné is a player which I've been mentioning here and there for about 12 months now. It's since last summer in the transfer window, and I was kind of mentioning him for a few different clubs that could sign him, and his name has come up a few times over the past year. But I realised the other day, I have never actually done a video solely focusing on him. It's a video which I have planned to do for ages, and I saw a comment the other day asking for a video on Koné, and I thought, well, I've already done one. Why are they asking for this? I looked through and I've never actually done a video on him. So that's what we're going to do today, and we're going to get straight into it by talking about his profile. 21 years old, over 6 foot tall, right-footed, can play for France or the Ivory Coast, big central midfielder, like I said, playing for Gladbach in the Bundesliga. And he's had another really good season. Really kind of burst onto the scene last year, and then this season he's developed. Maybe not at the rate at which we had hoped, but he's still a very, very good player. So I want to look at, if he was to sign for United, where he would be fitting into the team, what he would bring from a tactical point of view, but also from an individual point of view on the ball and off the ball. So that's what we're going to do today. So first things first, if he was to sign for United, once again, as with pretty much every midfielder we look at, it would be this left-sided central midfield role that he would come into. Now, potentially further down the line in his career, there's a chance he becomes more of a 6. I have seen people saying that. However, I think there's certain parts of his skill set which make him a bit better, maybe more of an 8 role, a little bit higher up the pitch. So, in terms of if he was to play this left central midfield role, what would he bring to the team? Well, one thing that he often looks to do for Gladbach is build possession in a 2-4 shape. So let's say the ball is with the centre-back here. What we can often see with Gladbach is they move into a shape which looks a little bit like this. So you've got some sort of double pivot in front of the 2 centre-backs. And this is something which United could definitely do. I mean, Casemiro isn't great at receiving as a solo pivot, so it would help him out to have a midfielder alongside him. And this is something which Koné is already used to doing. Now, from this position, when receiving the ball, Koné is very, very press resistant, using a combination of his brilliant technical ability, his quick feet, his close control, but also his pure size, his physique, his strength, his athleticism. It allows him to often pin an opponent and then kind of roll past them. Think almost similar to how Paul Pogba used to do it. It's quite similar in terms of the skill set. Not to the same level, but actually in terms of in deeper areas, he's arguably a little bit better at it than what Paul Pogba was. So this is something which Koné would bring to the team, press resistance. Now, I wouldn't say he is a specialist in this area. I think there are better press resistant midfielders out there, and that might even be highlighted by the fact that he isn't always asked to drop into this position. Sometimes Gladbach leave him a little bit higher. So, he is press resistant. Is it his specialty? Probably not. Is he a specialist at it? Again, probably not. But again, he is an upgrade on what United have in this area. He is better than Casemiro at this. He's better than Fred, Eriksen, Scott McTominay, Sabitzer, Bruno Fernandes. He would be the most press-resistant midfielder at the club, and that is of course something that United need. Now, as well as dropping into these deeper areas to provide that press resistance for the team, what we can see from this heat map here is that Koné also likes to push further forward as well. So we're getting again that vibe of a box-to-box midfielder. Not a holding midfielder who's going to play as a 6 and sit in front of the centre-backs, but someone that wants to do a bit of both. And he is very, very good in the middle third, where he kind of brings the complete package. Technically, on the ball, very, very sound. He can do most things that you ask of him. In terms of his passing, he's pretty safe with his passing, tends to complete most of his passes. I would like to see perhaps development with his longer range passing. He often completes his long range passes, but they're a bit too lofted, a bit too floated. At times with a long pass you need to put a bit more drive on the ball to make sure that it gets out there and really moves the opposition and takes advantage of gaps that the opposition might leave. So that's something where Koné, something he could work on, something he could improve, but we'll have to wait and see if that develops in the future. But in terms of what he's good at, his forward passing is good. He is capable of moving the ball through the lines, particularly on the counter-attack when the opposition are a bit more opened up. He's quite good at it. But when we're talking about Koné, the skill set which we are really talking about in terms of what really makes him stand out on the ball, it is his ball carrying ability. His ability to pick the ball up and drive forward through the thirds. This is what I really like about Koné's game, and it's something that which we see a lot. So one thing that will often happen with Gladbach is the ball goes wide to the fullback, then to the winger, then they pop it inside to Koné, and then he is given this room to drive forward. So let's say the opposition are pressing something like this. what we will often see is, like I said, the ball goes here to the fullback, wide to the winger, and then it's popped into Koné, who kind of runs onto the ball and then uses that brilliant size, physique, athleticism, which we've spoken about already, combined with really very, very good footwork to kind of burst forward into these positions and drive forward. And for me, this is where Koné excels. His ball carrying ability in the middle third, in the midfield, is really very, very good, and it's an excellent progressive weapon, which we know is something that United need. United are desperate for a player which can carry the ball forward and kind of break a press or break an opposition structure. Koné is the sort of player which would bring that to the team. The other thing I like about Koné, and it's again something which United need in their midfield, is that at times he is willing to slow the play down. What we see a lot of the time from Casemiro, Fernandes, Fred, Sabitzer and Eriksen to an extent as well, is that they all look to move the ball forward way too quickly. They take one touch and then bam, it's coming at the ball forward. Koné at times is happy to take a couple of extra touches. Now, some of the reason for that is because of his technical ability. He's very confident and secure in his own ability. He knows that he can buy a bit of time, bait a player into pressing him, and he knows that he can kind of deal with that. And again, this is something that United need. If they want to control games and become a possession-dominant team, they need players that are willing to put their foot on the ball, slow it down and kind of play from there. That is something which Koné does very, very well. So again, I think that would be an upgrade to the United midfield in terms of what they currently have to offer. In terms of the system and the position that he would pick up in his Manchester United team, it would vary. Again, for Gladbach, he plays a few different roles. There are situations when in possession, we will see the Gladbach fullbacks push nice and high, like this. And Koné is very confident dropping into the back three, particularly into this sort of left centre-back position. I wouldn't describe him as a high-volume player from here, although he does have games where he does have over 100 touches. It's just not something we see on a regular basis. But perhaps moving to a more possession-orientated side like Manchester United, dropping into his left centre-back position, we could see him getting more possession, more touches on the ball, and becoming that high-volume player. But this is certainly a structure which United could use. It would allow them to push the fullbacks further forward, whether that be wide on the overlap or narrow on the underlap into these inverted positions. It would allow United that bit more freedom. Now, something else which Koné can also do is move more to the left-hand side up here, a little bit higher, if the team are looking to use a bit more of a 2-3 shape. And he's kind of now in this kind of left half space area, kind of in a left-back position, but just slightly tucked in. And again, this gives the manager a bit of tactical freedom. And for Erik ten Hag, it would allow him to change structures within the game. So rather than being forced to stick to a 3-1-6 or a 2-3-5, Koné is the sort of player which can kind of move about into different positions and do different jobs. I mean, on top of this, he's also very capable as the 6 as well. Like I said, he has spent games in his career where he has been a solo pivot. So again, this is something that he can do. Now, once again, like I said already, right now he probably isn't someone I would class as a high volume player. But I do think he has the potential to become that. He needs to improve his range of passing, particularly with his long passes. It is something that he needs to work on. But I just think tactically, in possession, there's a lot of different things which he could do for United. I mean, on top of this, he can even push into the left half space. If we're looking at his heat map from earlier, we can see that he likes to get forward down that left-hand side, and with those driving runs carrying the ball forward, given his license to attack the opposition, again this is a role which could suit Koné. Something else he does for Gladbach is often rotates with the winger as well. In the final third, it's not uncommon to see him on the left wing. So I think from a tactical point of view, in terms of the structure, there are a few different roles that he could play for this United team, and he kind of fits in quite seamlessly. Now, with all of those things taken into consideration, you can see why I think this is a good option for Manchester United. Because from a structural point of view, he can do several of the jobs which Ten Hag would want. He can play that role as a solo 6 if needed, but he does have that press resistance in the first phase. He can build in a 2-4 shape if needed. He's good at combining with the fullback, good at combining with the winger. He can play in a 3-1-6 or a 2-3-5 in several different positions, and he can attack in the final third as well. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that he is perfect, because again, I wouldn't say that he is a specialist at any of these roles. Apart from carrying the ball forward where he is very good, he isn't a specialist. He isn't a high volume player which is really going to dictate the tempo of the game at this moment of time in his career. And he's also not particularly creative in the final third, and he doesn't offer too much in terms of output in those areas. So is he what United need? I'm genuinely not too sure. Maybe that's something which you guys can check out. Go watch him for yourself and let me know what you think. I think he ticks a lot of boxes. I think he kind of increases the floor level of the team. He takes it up a bit. He improves the technical ability of the team. But is he the specialist in possession which United need? Not too sure. Now, whilst I might have some uncertainty about, is he the specialist United need on the ball, something which you cannot question about Koné is his defensive ability. We can see it in his FBref report here. He ranks very well in several different defensive metrics, and he's a very, very good defensive player. Again, thanks to that brilliant combination of his size, his physique, but also his mobility, his athleticism, his ability to get across the pitch, his aggressiveness in the tackle, this guy loves a duel. Particularly on the ground, he's okay in the air without being great, but ground duels he really excels. He loves winning those tackles in the middle of the pitch. And again, this is something which United need. If we're talking about a side which wants to press high and win the ball back in dangerous areas, Koné is someone which could potentially do that. Now, at the moment, he isn't really used in a high press, kind of reflected again in the FBref report, where tackles in the attacking third, he only ranks in the 19th percentile. But for me, that's more of a structural thing and a tactical thing with his current club. I think he has all of the attributes to become this, someone which could squeeze a little bit higher and win the ball back. What he's also going to offer on top of that also is protection going the other way as well. He is good at breaking up play in the middle of the pitch, middle third when the opposition are looking to counter-attack, he is good at breaking up play. Now, I do think again there's room for improvement in that area because at times he seems to lack the intensity. If the opposition are on the counter-attack and running into these areas, at times he can be a little bit slow to get back. That is something which in the Premier League he would need to work on. In the Bundesliga at times you can get away with it a little bit. I think in the Premier League he would need to do work on how intensely he tracks back. I think that's something he needs to work on. But once he is back in defensive positions, he is really very good. And again, he is a player which would drastically improve United's ability to defend. In terms of shuffling on the edge of his area, he's really good at kind of moving side to side, closing gaps, keeping the opposition out. He's also really good at making tackles in this area as well. Kind of in this area, a bit like Casemiro does, kind of sweeping up in front of his defence, putting tackles in to stop the opposition getting into dangerous positions. It's something which Koné does very well, and again, better than all of the other United players, apart from Casemiro. So again, it is going to increase that floor level of the defensive ability of the team. Something else he's good at also is defending wide areas. Particularly when his fullback goes on for the press, Koné is willing to cover this space in behind. Something which we know which Ten Hag does value in his team. He doesn't always like his centre-backs getting dragged out of position, although he likes them to be capable of doing it. He doesn't always want his centre-backs out here because it leaves gaps. Koné is the sort of player which can cover into this position. So from a defensive point of view, Koné would be a massive, massive upgrade. If we're comparing him to someone like Christian Eriksen, there have been a few goals this season where Eriksen just lacks the intensity, the physicality, the aggressiveness in the way that he defends, and United have conceded a few goals as a result. If you bring Koné into the side, he completely changes that. I watched a game the other day of Gladbach against Borussia Dortmund from about 7 or 8 months ago, and the way that he kept Jude Bellingham really very quiet was super impressive, and that was one of the games which really made me go, yeah, this could be the guy. Defensively, he is absolutely unbelievable. So that now kind of brings us to the point of, is he the right player for Manchester United? And again, like I said, I think this is where I want you guys to check him out for yourself. Go watch the last few games of the Bundesliga season, and of course watch games back from the past as well. He's a really good player, and I think he will move in the summer, and I think wherever he goes, the team will be getting a great player. The question is he right for Erik ten Hag right now, as the left-sided central midfielder? He's got versatility, we know Ten Hag wants that. Technically, he is very secure on the ball and would improve the level of the team. He's a good ball carrier, he's got good press resistance, and tactical versatility. He can move into a few different positions. However, his passing isn't top of the range. It's not that level which United need. And he isn't a high volume player at this moment in time, whilst also not really offering too much output in the final third. However, from a defensive point of view, he ticks pretty much every box and would massively improve this team's ability to press but also defend transition and also in their own defensive third on the edge of your own penalty area. So let me know what you think. Is he the right profile? I think at the moment, I'm leaning to the fact that he probably isn't quite what United need. I think United need a bit of a better passer. Someone who's really going to orchestrate the team and really dictate and set the tempo. I don't think Koné is that. But just wait and see. Keep watching him because he is a very, very good player. And like I said, I do think he will move this summer. And I think wherever he goes, he will be absolutely phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. Quality player. Really very good. The question is just, is he right for Erik ten Hag? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think he is the right sort of signing, or is he someone you need to go watch more, or is he just the wrong profile for what United need at this moment in time? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and whilst you're there, also subscribe and like the video. Apart from that, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the video, and as always, I will see you in the next one.